Mr. Speaker, this bill is a bit like a cockroach. We keep stamping it out, but it just won't die. They tried this 3 times before, as Duncan just said. They've tried this in the past, and every single time it failed. They tried it again with the Treaty Principles Bill, and what happened with that? It got thrown out at the first reading. It got chucked in the bin. And now it's come before us again. It's a cockroach. It just won't die. But the danger in this bill is not actually in how damaging it will be, although that is a real danger of it. The danger of this bill is how eye-wateringly boring and technical it is, so that most of the general public aren't necessarily paying attention to the consequences of this bill. And they'd be forgiven for thinking that it was just a boring old bill, because the ACT Party can't get it by standing on what they really want, so they couch it in legal and technical and constitutional terms to try and get their foot in the door, just like a cockroach. And that's how a cockroach lives, isn't it? In the dark, in the night, not in broad daylight, being clear about the intentions of what they hope to achieve. Or maybe it's like a rat. Maybe it's like a rat. You see one, you think that's it, there's 20 more. Where that came from. The intentions are the same, no matter how many times they've tried to do this. It's erase te tiriti o Waitangi, ransack the environment, and put corporate greed over the public good. Because we used to make things here in Aotearoa. We used to create paper, we used to make wool, timber, we used to manufacture things, cars, clothing. We cared about each other. We understood that in order for people to work hard in those industries, like making wool, Mr. Patterson, we needed to provide for them as well. We knew that if we gave people the basics, that they would be able to live a productive life that benefits to our country and our economy, a concept that seems completely foreign to that side of the House. And these are the basic tenets of social reproduction. Make people happy, give them the basics, they'll work hard and they'll make babies. And those babies will go on and be the future generation of our nation. Those are important things. Everyone could get good healthcare back in the day. A good public education was available to everyone. Even university education and training was free. Everybody had the opportunity to live in a house through state housing. And parents could stay home and raise their kids themselves. That was a time when New Zealand understood what mattered the most. And that carried on for many decades. People were happy, they had more money in their pockets, and it was easier to be born into a poorer or a working class family because you knew that if you worked hard, you could transcend class. You could move around. It's a concept called class mobility. Don't know if that side of the House has heard about it before, but it used to be a thing. You could set yourself up, buy a family homestead, and really get intergenerational wealth to pass down to different generations. But then in the 80s and the 90s in this country, there was this idea that grew across the world where people decided that they wanted and felt that they deserved more than their fair share. They looked at housing and said, what if we just bought all the houses and made everybody else pay rent to us? They looked at healthcare and said, what if we put a price tag on hospitals and GP visits? They looked at university education and said, we should put a price tag on that. That's the same mindset that would probably sell us back the air that we breathe if they could. What if they could just get really, really rich? And that is neoliberalism, and that is this bill. It's the mindset that we should put a price tag on everything, and it is the concept of putting private greed of the few before the public good for the many. Now, the ACT Party are the architects of this bill because they understand that there are two things that stand in the way of them and their mates getting richer, and that's te tiriti o Waitangi and protections for the environment. But this time, it got through after many failed attempts, thanks to our Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister, the amateur politician who doesn't even understand what he signed up to in his coalition agreement, who doesn't even understand the way that he sold away the founding document of our country in his agreements. Maybe he should just stick to business because he's not a very good politician. In order to serve the agenda of concentrating wealth within the hands of a few people, David Seymours has created his own ministry. He's put himself in charge of the ministry. And he's made this bill, which on the surface, again, is very boring, but the implications are far-reaching. Now, this right here, this is a regulatory impact statement. Every time a bill is passed in this House, one of these are prepared. It is essentially the pros and the cons of a bill. The reason that the ACT Party and the government don't like these is because these are the really annoying things that tell us what the public and the people think. These are the really annoying things that tell us the consequences of what happens when you throw the environment aside or concentrate too much wealth in the hands of a few. But these are the Public Services Act of Resistance. Their resistance is a simple thing that might be a bit confronting or a bit mind-boggling to the government. It's a simple thing called evidence. Because when all of the political rhetoric and all of the communication lines and all of those key lines that you're fed by your advisors are brushed aside, these stand as a statement of fact. Because when all of the bills, including the fast-track bill, the pay equity bill, the treaty principles bill came through, these were the things that provided evidence and truth for us to make a decision, but these are the things that continue to be ignored. So these are inconvenient for the government, and that is exactly why they want to change these rules. Now this bill, it uses words and phrases that everybody in principle might agree to. It takes things like the rule of law above all else, but purposefully erases tikanga Māori, the original law of this land. It makes the assumption that everybody is equal under the law, erasing the fact that that is dictated by your race and how much money you have access to. It puts the rights of individuals before collective rights that we all hold. Our collective right to safe drinking water, our collective right to good housing, good healthcare, good education. The collective right of future generations to inherit a planet that is livable and breathable, to inherit rivers that they can swim in, clean air that they can breathe in, forests that they can walk in, mountains that they can climb. The collective rights of the collective rights and mana of iwi and hapu to pursue tino rangatiratanga. These are collective rights which a individualistic theory like neoliberalism could not even begin to comprehend. This bill will make New Zealand more unequal. The wealthiest 311 families in New Zealand have more wealth combined than the bottom 2.5 million New Zealanders. The government has made everything more expensive, from the supermarket to the bank to the GP clinic to schools. And you know what one of the first things they did when they got into government was? They removed the reporting that IRD does to actually record and track wealth inequality in this country. And then they put through bills like this just so that we can't see what's happening right in front of our eyes. This is the most fundamental breach of Te Tiriti o Waitangi in modern times. It tramples over and erases tikanga Māori. There was no consultation with Māori, which actively breaches principles of good faith and partnership. And when this bill comes into force on the 1st of January 2026, a few weeks away, any piece of legislation that mentions or honours or gives effect to Te Tiriti o Waitangi will be in its sightlines. This is capitalism, and this is recolonisation. The people who engineered this bill don't care about New Zealand. The people who engineered this bill don't have the range to even comprehend Te Ao Māori, or Te Tiriti, or iwi and hapu. Their mates are based in Australia, in Canada, in America. They don't care about us. Make no mistake, this is capitalism. And David Seymours, You better run and tell your mates in the Atlas network that we're going to burn capitalism to the ground. Because socialism is about honouring and upholding the dignity of all people.